Hello dear students, welcome to the lecture series on the subject botany. For today's lecture, our topic is taxonomy and diversity of Solanaceae. Dear students, we all eat food crops like potato, tomato, brinjal and host of other important food crops. Do you know all these food crops, they belong to a single botanical family called Solanaceae. The Solanaceae family not only includes the edible food plants but also many important medicinal plants like Hyoscyamus, Atropa, etc. It also includes many infamous poisonous plants like Datura. With such an important family this Solanaceae is, today we are going to discuss the taxonomy and diversity of Solanaceae. In this lecture, we will be discussing these aspects of the family Solanaceae. Number 1, taxonomy. Second, systematic position. Third, phylogeny. Fourth, diversity. And fifth, economic importance. So let us start with taxonomy. The Solanaceae is commonly known as potato or nightshade family. The family name, that is Solanaceae, is actually based on the type genus Solanum. The family was first of all recognized as a formal taxonomic category under the name Solanaceae by De Gisu way back in 1789. Now let us discuss the diagnostic features of this family Solanaceae. All the members of this family Solanaceae, they are distinctive. They show some unique characters in being either herbs, shrubs, trees or lianas. They have an important character, that is, they possess an internal phloem. The leaves are here spiral and the flower is actinomorphic. The corolla is involute and the gynoecium is bicarpellate and syncarpous. The ovary is basal and there are numerous ovules per carp. The fruit in Solanaceae is either a berry or a capsule. After discussing these diagnostic features of the family Solanaceae, now let us discuss the taxonomy in detail, starting from its habit. Most of the members of this family Solanaceae, they are herbs. Common examples are Petunia, Hyoscyamus and many others. Many of the members of this family Solanaceae, they are also shrubs. Example can be here Sistrum. Some of the members are even trees. Example is Dunalia. And very infrequently, some members of this family, they are lianas. A characteristic example is Solanum jasminoides. The family Solanaceae is characteristic in having the presence of alkaloids. That is why many plants that belong to this family, they are poisonous. Chemically, these alkaloids have a characteristic bicyclic structure, and these include atropine and hyoscyamin. Root. Root in Solanaceae is a taproot system. We also see in the case of common potato, underground tubers. Now the stem. Stem is usually here hairy. The hairs are of diverse shape, but very often they can assume the shapes like satellite or they can be even branched. The stem is often associated with prickles in many taxa. The vascular bundles of stems, they show the presence of an internal phloem. What is this internal phloem? The internal phloem is located inside the primary xylem within the pith. Leaves in Solanaceae are alternate, and they are arranged in a spiral fashion. The leaves are mostly petiolate, but they are exstipulate. The leaves are often in pairs. The members of a pair are both on the same side of the stem. The leaves are simple, but sometimes they can be deeply lobed, or even we can have these leaves pinnately compound. Commonly we see these leaves in the case of potato. The leaf margin, it can be entire or it can be serrate. The leaves show a veneation called as pinnate. The leaves are modified into spines in some cases. Example is Fabiana imbricata, or very rarely these leaves, they are gland dotted. We can see these gland dots in Anthocercis. Now let us discuss the floral morphology of the family Solanaceae, starting from inflorescence. Inflorescence in Solanaceae is usually terminal, that means at the top. It is cymose, but it appears lateral in its orientation, what we can see commonly in Solanum. Or sometimes this inflorescence can be reduced into a single flower, what we see in Datura. Now the individual flower. The flowers in Solanaceae are usually pedicellate. They are bisexual, that means both male and female part of the flower in the same flower. But rarely they can be unisexual. In such cases they are dioecious. Example is Simonthus. The flowers are actinomorphic, that means they can be cut into equal halves by any plant. But there are rare occurrences of zygomorphic flowers. We can see this zygomorphic flower in Solanaceae in the genus Schizanthus. The flowers are hypogynous. Now let us discuss the individual parts of the flower, starting from the outer whorl called calyx. Calyx is comprised of normally 5 sepals. These sepals are fused together, that's why we call it as synsepalous. Characteristically in Solanaceae, these sepals, they remain persistent. Sometimes these persistent sepals assume a condition called as accrescent. What is this accrescent? In such a situation, the 5 calyx lobes, they continue to grow and they get swollen in the fruit condition. This type of accrescent sepals we see in Physalis and Withania. Now the corolla. Corolla is usually comprised of 5 petals, but there are rare occurrences of 4 or 6 petals in Solanaceae. Again, these petals are fused together, that's why we call it as sympetalous. This fusion of the petals, it can form different shapes of corolla. These shapes can be like rotate, what we see in Solanum. It can be tubular, as we see in Sistrum, or it can be funnel shaped. Common example is Datura. Or even sometimes it can assume the shape of bilabiate. Example is Schizanthus. These petals are distinctly pellicate. What is this pellicate? That means they are with folded lines. The marginal portions of each corolla lobe, they are often folded inwards. But sometimes we can see this situation as imbricate or valvate. Now the androecium, that's the male part of the flower. Androecium in Solanaceae comprises of 5 stamens. But there are some taxa where the stamens are only 4. Also, sometimes staminodes are present. These staminodes vary in number. There can be single staminode, example is Salpiglossis. Or we can have 3 staminodes even, example is Schizanthus. These stamens, they are oriented antisepalous, and also they arise in a fashion what we call as epipetalous. What is this epipetalous? These stamens, they are inserted in the corolla tube. The filaments of the stamens, they are free from each other, and the anthers at the top of the filaments, they are usually bilocular. These anthers show a condition called as connivent. What is this connivent? These anthers touch in a ring form at the top, but without fusion of the filaments. The anthers are dorsifixed or basifixed. These are tetrasporangiate, intros, and that's why the dehiscence can be along the longitudinal slats or the terminal pores. The pollen grains in Solanaceae, they are usually tri to pentacolpate or sometimes colporate. Now the female part of the flower called as gynoecium. Gynoecium in Solanaceae comprises of 2 carpels, but rarely we can have 3 to 5 carpels also. But we see in a taxa called as Nicandra. These carpels are fused together, a condition called as syncarpus. The carpels are oriented obliquely to the median wall of the flower. The ovary in Solanaceae is superior, bilocular. Ovules are always numerous per locule, but occasionally they can be reduced to single ovule per carpel. The placentation is characteristically axile. The placenta are swollen and the septum is oblique. The ovary is often further divided by a false septa. The style is single, it is terminal to gynobasic, and the stigma is bilobed. The ovules have the shape of either anatropous or hemianatropous. The ovules are also unitagmic and tenuinucleate. The nectar disc is present at the base of the ovary. Now the fruit. Mostly in Solanaceae, we see a fruit called as berry. But in some taxa, we see fruits like drupe or capsule. When capsule is present, it can be septicidal. Example is datura. Or we can have some taxa wherein the fruit in Solanaceae is schizocarp of nutlets. The seeds within these fruits are many and are often flattened. The embryo is straight and the endosperm is oily. Now let us discuss the pollination system in Solanaceae. The flowers of Solanaceae, they are usually very showy. That's why they attract various insects as pollinators. These insects can be bees, wasps, flies, butterflies, or even moths. For instance, the Solanum species, they do not produce nectar. Therefore, they are pollinated by pollen gathering bees and flies. In such cases, the pollen is removed from the anthers by vibration or even manipulation of the anthers by the pollinators. As against to this, in the case of genera like Sistrum and Datura, they attract nectar gathering insects, not the pollen gathering insects. These insects can be moths or butterflies. Now let us discuss the fruit dispersal in the family Solanaceae. The brightly colored berries are the fruits in Solanaceae. They are dispersed quite commonly by birds. Now let us discuss the systematic position of Solanaceae. Various classifications have been proposed from time to time for the family Solanaceae. Let us highlight some of the prominent classifications. Bentham and Hooker, the two British botanists, way back in 1862, they classified the family Solanaceae under the class Dicotyledons, subclass Gamopetalae, series Bicarpellatae, and the order not Solanales, what is the present practice, but Polymineales. Arthur Cronquist, American taxonomist, he recognized the family Solanaceae not at the class of Bantam hooker, but at the division of Magnoliophyta, class Magnoliopsida, subclass Asteridae, and the order Solanaceae. Then Arman Takhtajan, a Russian taxonomist, recognized the same division for Solanaceae. The division is Magnoliophyta, class Magnoliopsida, but he incorporated one more taxonomic rank by subclass and gave subclass Lamidae to the family Solanaceae, superorder Solaninae, and again the order Solanaceae. Dahlgren classified it at the class Magnoliopsida, subclass Magnolidae, superorder Solaninae, and the order Solanaceae. Robert Thorne, he recognized it at the class Angiospermae, subclass Lamidae, superorder Solaninae, and the order again Solanaceae. Very recently, the Angiosperm phylogeny group, who have proposed a rankless classification, they recognize it under the clade Eudicots, and then the subclade Euasteroides 1, and the order again Solanaceae. After discussing this systematic position, now let us discuss the phylogeny of Solanaceae. Solanaceae are considered monophyletic. The basis for this recognition of monophyly is both the morphological characters and the chloroplast DNA characters. The family has close relationships, close affinities with families like Convolvulaceae, Boraginaceae, and Gesneriaceae. The family is also closely related to Sucrophyllaceae in having both the families Solanaceae and Sucrophyllaceae. They have vascular bundles having both external and characteristically internal phloem. The flowers, both the families, they are actinomorphic. They also have an oblique septum in their ovary. The infrafamilial relationships, that means the subfamilial relationships within the family Solanaceae, have been investigated using morphology and cladistic analysis of molecular characters. The molecular characters that have been used include ORBCL, NDHF genes, and also nuclear gene called salicylic acid methyl transferase. Solanaceae is commonly divided into 7 subfamilies. These are: number 1, Schwannoideae. In this subfamily, the pericycle fibers are present. The stamens are just 4. They show an arrangement called didynamous, or we can have 3 staminodes also present. In this subfamily, the embryo is straight. The second subfamily is Schizanthoideae. In this subfamily, the pericycle fibers are absent. The flowers are not actinomorphic but zygomorphic. The anterior petals are connate and form a key-like structure. The stamens are here only 2 and the staminodes are 3. Here the embryo is not flattened, not straight but curved. The third subfamily is Goitozoideae. In this subfamily, the fruit is not the common berry but a drupe, and embryo is here characteristically curved. The fourth subfamily, Cystroideae, has pericycle fibers present. Here the staminodes are not 3 as was the case in the preceding subfamilies but 4 or 5, and also these stamens, they show a condition called as didynamous. The fifth subfamily is Petunidae. Here the flowers are bisymmetric and the embryos are very slightly curved. The sixth subfamily is Nicotianidae. Here in this subfamily, the pericycle fibers, they are either present or they can be even absent. The stamens are either 4 or 5. The embryo is both. It can be straight or it can be curved. The seventh subfamily within the family Solanaceae is Solanidae. In this subfamily, the seeds are characteristically flattened. The embryo is curved and it is often coiled. This last subfamily, that is the Solanaceae, as already mentioned, it is the largest of all the subfamilies within the family Solanaceae. It has berry or sometimes capsule as their fruit. It is represented by common genera such as Solanum, Capsicum, Datura, Physalis, Lycium, even and Atropa. There are many, say, taxonomic conflicts within this subfamily Solanaceae. For example, the genus Nolana and its relatives, they were previously recognized as a separate subfamily Nolanoideae. Or some of the authors, they even recognized it at the rank of family as Solanaceae. The reason for recognition at subfamily or family level were they were having gynobasic style and deeply lobed ovary. But nowadays, this Nolana and its relatives are again included within the larger subfamily of Solanoideae. Common genera such as Nicotiana, Anthocyrsis, they are also now included under the subfamily Nicotianoideae. But they are considered to be very close to the Solanoideae. That's why sometimes called as sister genera to Solanoideae. The subfamily Solanoideae together with these two genera, Nicotiana and Anthocyrsis, they together form a clade which can be recognized on the basis of chromosome number of just 12. In both these subclades, we have the chromosome number of 12. The monophyly of the large genus Solanum, that is the type genus in the family Solanaceae, it is supported by its unique wheel-shaped and deeply lobed corollas, connivent anthers which usually open by apical pores, and it is also supported by cpDNA restriction site data and also the RBCL and NDHF characters. Now let us discuss the diversity of the family Solanaceae. At present, the family is represented world over by about 100 genera having more than 2,500 species. Some of the species rich genera in this family are Solanum, the type genus. It has about 1400 species all over the world. Then followed by Lycanthus having 200 species. Then Sistrum having 175 species. It is followed by two genera, Nicotiana and Physalis, each having 100 species. Lastly, the Lycium having about 90 species. Members of this family, they are widespread, they are globally distributed, but they show the most diversity. They are mostly diverse in the neotropics of Central and Southern America. Now let us lastly discuss the economic importance of the family Solanaceae. The members that belong to the family Solanaceae, they are of great economic importance. The family contains many important food plants. Most common is the potato. Its scientific name is Solanum tuberosum. Also tomato, Lycopersicon esculentum. Eggplant or common name brinjal, Solanum melangina. Or one more food plant, tomatillo. The scientific name Physalis exocarpa. These are all common food plants that belong to the family Solanaceae. In fact, the tubers of potato, they are an important source of starch in human diet. Edible fruits of many species that belong to the family Solanaceae, mostly the peppers, the common pepper. Scientific name is capsicum. They are used as food source when they are young. They are commonly used as spices when they become ripe. The peppers, they contain the alkaloid by the name of capsaicin. It is because of this alkaloid capsaicin that these peppers, they provide a hot flavor. Many members of the family Solanaceae, they are a source of alkaloids. These alkaloids can be tropane alkaloids or steroid alkaloids. It's because of this presence of alkaloids that many species in the family Solanaceae, they have great medicinal importance. For example, an alkaloid atropine, it is derived from a species that belongs to Solanaceae, namely Atropa belladonna. This atropine is used in dilation of eye pupil in humans. Because of this, it facilitates the examination of interior of eyes. Few more medicinal plants include Hyoscyamus niger, common name henbane. It is used as a hypnotic drug. One more medicinal plant by the name of Datura citromonium. It is used for its hallucinogenic properties. Many species of the family Solanaceae, they are grown as ornamentals. For example, Brunfelsia. Its common name is too long, lady of the night, yesterday, today and tomorrow. One more ornamental plant that belongs to the Solanaceae is Sistrum. Its common name is night blooming jasmine, or its Hindi name is Raat ki Rani. Few more ornamental plants in Solanaceae are Schizanthus, common name butterfly flower, or the Slapiglossis, velvet tongue, Physalis, ground cherry, or the common petunia, for which we have huge number of cultivars. Some other members of family Solanaceae, they are powerful narcotics. The common is infamous tobacco, scientific name Nicotiana tabacum. This tobacco, it contains a toxic alkaloid by the name of nicotine, and it is commonly grown for chewing or for smoking purposes. Many species of this family Solanaceae, they have some negative impacts. They are noxious weeds. Some of the noxious weeds include Datura inoxia, Nicandria physalis, or the Physalis angulata. So, dear students, with this we come to the end of today's lecture on the topic Taxonomy and Diversity of Solanaceae. Hope you have enjoyed today's lecture. See you again with some another topic. Till then, bye bye.